The inheritance that changed everything. Maya sat silently as the cutting glances followed her into the lawyer's office. At 17, with dark skin and simple clothes, she was immediately dismissed by the Almeida family gathered for the will reading. Who let the cleaning lady into the meeting? Victor Almeida sneered, followed by stifled laughter. It must be another one of my brother's social causes, Christina muttered, dripping with disdain. She probably came to ask for a donation. Ricardo, the eldest son, waved dismissively. Someone escort her out before Mr. Garcia arrives. It's embarrassing. When lawyer Enrique Garcia entered, he gestured to the empty seat beside his desk. Miss Maya, please. Shock rippled through the room. Do you know this girl? Ricardo demanded. Maya Oliveira, Dona Celeste's daughter, Garcia explained. She's worked in this house since she was 12, helping her mother with cleaning on weekends. The maid's daughter, Christina spat. What is she doing at a private family will reading? Patricia quickly snapped a photo of Maya, posting it online. #intruder at will reading. Lackey trying to pull a fast one even after their boss is dead. Garcia activated a screen on the wall. Eduardo Almeida appeared, aged and worn by illness but determined. Before I reveal how I've divided my estate, I have a question, Eduardo said from the recording. Can any of you tell me the name of Dona Celeste's daughter? Uncomfortable silence. I figured you wouldn't, Eduardo continued sadly. That girl has worked in our house for 5 years, and none of you ever bothered to learn her name. I watched how you treated her, how you treated all employees as if they were invisible, disposable. That told me everything I needed to know about your character. The tension became unbearable as Eduardo revealed he'd spent the last 3 months talking to Maya, learning about her dreams of studying law while she cared for her sick mother and worked tirelessly. This is Maya Oliveira, Eduardo said, daughter of Dona Celeste, who worked in our house for 15 years, even when Christina reduced her salary while buying her 4th imported car. Maya, whom Ricardo humiliated when he spilled water on her documents, making her clean the floor on her knees while calling her incompetent, unaware that she'd just received news that her mother needed expensive surgery. Garcia opened the envelope. I, Eduardo Almeida, leave to Maya Oliveira 51% of the shares of Almeida Incorporos, my primary residence and all properties listed in Appendix A, as well as 20 million in various investments. This is undue influence, Ricardo exploded. That girl manipulated a sick man. Garcia continued calmly. Maya will only take full control at age 21. Until then, the company will be managed by a board led by myself and Dr. Luisa Mendez. Dr. Luisa entered, a middle-aged black woman in an elegant suit. I introduced Maya to Eduardo after witnessing how she cared for Dona Celeste in the hospital, even after you fired her when her mother fell ill. 3 months earlier, Maya had begged Ricardo for an advance for her mother's medicine. He refused cruelly. I don't have time to deal with employee problems. If you can't afford the medicine, maybe you should consider another job. That same day, drive. Luisa found Maya crying and arranged for her to meet Eduardo. Another video played, showing Eduardo documenting the family's cruelty, Ricardo yelling at employees, Christina firing Dona Celeste, Victor ridiculing an elderly driver, Patricia making racist comments. What makes this extraordinary, drive, Luisa said, is that when Eduardo offered Maya complete revenge, she hesitated. She told him, I don't just want to see them lose. I want them to understand what they did. Maya stood, calmly. The properties in Appendix A aren't mansions, they're plots of land in communities that the Almeida family acquired through questionable means over decades. Those properties are now mine, and I've already signed documents transferring them back to the families who live there, free of charge. The room erupted. I don't want your money, Maya continued. I want justice. Justice means returning what was unjustly taken. Garcia added, her first act as majority shareholder was approving compensation for all employees unfairly dismissed in the last 10 years. That will ruin the company. Ricardo shouted. It's not revenge, Maya replied. It's reparation. There's a fundamental difference. The doors opened, and 5 former employees entered, people fired for trying to form a union, now appointed as the new board of directors. You can't give the company to these people. Victor protested. It's already done, drive. Luisa confirmed. Maya looked at each family member. I want you to learn. I want you to understand what it's like to have no power, to be judged not by your character but by the color of your skin or your social status. Garcia presented their options. Accept a peaceful transition with social awareness programs and volunteer work in exploited communities, or face years of legal battles and public exposure. One by one, they realized this wasn't just about a teenager, it was about transformation. You still don't understand, Maya said. This empire was never yours to begin with, and it's not mine now. It belongs to everyone who built it, brick by brick, day after day. 6 months later, Almeida Incorporos thrived. Profits were up 12%, productivity at an all-time high, and 300 families had received property deeds. The company headquarters now housed a community center offering free classes to young people from marginalized communities. Ricardo, who refused the awareness program and fought in court, lost everything. Eventually, he applied for an administrative assistant position in the reintegration program. Patricia, whose post went viral and destroyed her influencer career, was the first to accept the program and found it transformative. On the one-year anniversary, Maya inaugurated the Eduardo Almeida Institute for Social Equity. In the audience sat Cristina, Victor, and Ricardo, still uncomfortable but present, learning. Prejudice is not overcome simply by exposing the prejudiced, Maya said. It is overcome when we transform structures and offer people the opportunity to see beyond their bubbles. Dona Celeste watched from the back row of the auditorium, her hands folded gently over one another, the faint scars from IV lines still visible on her wrists. The doctors had called it a miracle, stage 4 reduced to remission, but she knew better. Miracles, like revolutions, were never sudden. They were built slowly, painfully, decision by people who refused to surrender. On the stage stood her daughter. Not the trembling girl who once scrubbed office floors at midnight so her mother could afford chemotherapy. Not the young woman who had been laughed out of boardrooms, dismissed with polite smiles and cruel whispers. This version stood calm, composed, her voice steady as steel wrapped in grace. The crowd, investors, journalists, policymakers, leaned forward, unaware they were witnessing the end of an era and the beginning of another. Years ago, humiliation had been their weapon. They had mocked her accent, her background, her lack of pedigree. They had told her she didn't belong, that systems were too big to change, that power only listened to power. And for a moment, just a moment, anger had tempted her. Revenge had whispered seductively. Expose them, destroy them, make them feel the same smallness. But she chose something harder. She chose imagination. Instead of fighting the system head-on, she studied it. Learned its hidden gears, its unspoken rules, the quiet places where injustice hid behind efficiency and tradition. She listened to those the system crushed and those it rewarded, mapping not just how it worked, but why it stayed broken. While others shouted, she designed. While others demanded seats at the table, she built an entirely new one. Dona Celeste remembered the nights her daughter came home exhausted, eyes burning with ideas, notebooks filled with diagrams and questions instead of complaints. If we fix one policy, she had said once, they'll find another way to exclude. But if we redesign the foundation, exclusion becomes impossible. And that was exactly what she did. The platform her daughter unveiled that day didn't just offer opportunity, it rewired access. It removed gatekeepers. It replaced opaque hierarchies with transparent pathways. It didn't ask people to prove they were worthy, it assumed dignity as a starting point. Workers became stakeholders. Users became co-creators. Profit no longer came from extraction, but from shared growth. The room shifted as understanding spread. Some faces hardened, recognizing too late that their old leverage meant nothing here. Others softened, realizing they were being invited into something better rather than punished for the past. This was not a hostile takeover. It was a peaceful overthrow. Dona Celeste felt tears rise, not of sadness, but of release. For years, fear had been her constant companion. Fear of death, fear of leaving her daughter alone in a world that showed little mercy. But watching her now, she understood that even illness had not been wasted. Survival had sharpened her daughter's resolve. Suffering had refined her clarity. When the applause came, it wasn't thunderous at first. It started unevenly, uncertain. Then it grew, layer by layer, until it filled the hall, unstoppable. People stood not because they were told to, but because something inside them recognized truth. Later, as the crowd dispersed and reporters rushed forward, their eyes met across the distance. No words were needed. In that quiet exchange lived every sacrifice, every late-night prayer, every moment they had almost given up. Dona Celeste knew then that the greatest victory was not public recognition or financial success. It was this: her daughter had proven that dignity does not need permission, that justice does not require cruelty, and that the most powerful answer to humiliation is not retaliation, but transformation. The old system would continue to crumble, not from attack, but from irrelevance. And in its place would rise something stronger, fairer, and alive with possibility, built by those once told they would never matter. As Dona Celeste closed her eyes, breathing easily for the first time in years, she smiled. History would remember the revolution. But she would always remember the choice that made it possible,